Hi, welcome to TNT. Rather unflattering light today. Natural light as we sit on the couch and do a more relaxed TNT, whipping around Thailand in about 10 minutes to find out some of the main news stories. And a quick thank you to Steve Ross, who popped in on our Saturday program. An impromptu grumpy old man for those people waiting to see Steve. Yes, he was on the Saturday program if you want to check that out. It's also the time of the year when the rough weather moves from many parts of Thailand into around Samui, and they get their sort of wet season November, December. And it's highlighted with this story. Tours and boat trips restricted for safety of visitors to Koh Samui. And high waves and heavy rains prompted officials and operators on Thailand's Koh Samui to restrict tours, boat trips and visits to local waterfalls for the safety of visitors. And the Lompraya high-speed catamaran company informed tourists yesterday that it's moved its services from a pier at Wat Na Praland to the Sapan Klang Pier in Tambon Angtong and the Bang Rak Pier in Tambon Boput on Sunday and Monday to avoid strong waves. And ferry services between Don Sak and Koh Samui and between Don Sak and Koh Phangan have remained unchanged. That's the main ferry service from the mainland to Koh Samui and Koh Phangan. And the management of Muko Angtong Marine National Park has suspended visits to the Muko Angtong Islands for public safety. Certainly an archipelago of islands in better weather that I would warmly recommend. Now, another related story, and this same story from Bangkok Post goes on saying the search for a missing French tourist continued in the reservoir of the Ratchaprapa Dam. This is basically in the Khao Sok National Park in Suratani. And the 77-year-old visitor René Mary Corrie went missing when his boat sank in the reservoir in strong winds as it was taking 10 French tourists to a raft house in the reservoir on Saturday. And 3 French tourists were injured in the incident. It certainly shows you how local some of the weather can be, because it's only a 2-hour drive to the Khao Sok National Park from where I am, but we've pretty much had zero wind, sunny skies and, well, just some very, very light rain over the weekend. And just to give you a bit of quick context there, in blue circled the Khao Sok National Park, in red up on the right we've got Koh Samui, and down on the bottom left we've got the island of Phuket. And checking the weather in Samui, looks pretty rough for the rest of this week. Certainly today there's going to be some quite strong showers. And if we check the wind, they've got winds above 20 knots for most of the day, and during the week it will be getting a bit stronger as well. And just the latest news from that search, this is published in calsotenglish.com. Search underway for French tourist after boat capsizes in Suratani, and it notes that while the group was viewing the Three Brothers Mountain, the boat encountered strong winds and thunderstorms, causing it to capsize. And as we usually recommend in these sort of situations, in this case with the Khao Sok National Park, with Koh Samui and Koh Phangan, if you're travelling to any of these areas, just check the weather and your local transportation details. And just quickly acknowledging 5-Star Marine at 5starmarinephuket.com. They took 2 of our guests out to the bioluminescence tour over the weekend, and they both came back thoroughly enjoyed the tour. So thanks to Sean and the team there at 5-Star Marine for looking after our and many other guests. A bit of an update on the story out of Laos that's been making international headlines this week. And this is a report from Reuters. Laos vows justice after tainted alcohol kills tourists. And a lot of headlines about this otherwise idyllic-looking town of Vang Vieng. And the story says the Lao Government is profoundly saddened by the deaths of foreign tourists from drinking alcohol contaminated with methanol and pledged to prosecute those responsible. 2 Danes, 2 Australians, a Briton and an American have died after visiting Vang Vieng, an idyllic town that's popular with foreign backpackers and drinking contaminated alcohol. That additional death, as we announced on our Saturday program, one of the 2 19-year-old Australians, she died in the Udon Thani hospital. And the government's been conducting investigations to find causes of the incident and to bring the perpetrators to justice in accordance with the law. And the government expresses its sincere sympathy and deepest condolences to the families of the deceased. And the Laos state-run news agency KPL said authorities were gathering evidence and witness accounts following the foreigner's death due to suspected consumption of tainted alcoholic beverages. Now, both the Australian and the UK governments have already put a travel advisory about this issue in Laos. And now the US as well. The US Embassy in Laos has issued a warning on Friday for its citizens to be on the alert for risks of methanol poisoning in consuming spirit-based drinks, advising them to buy from licensed vendors and check for signs of tampering or counterfeiting. Well, certainly a big dampener to travel in Laos at the moment, especially that sort of backpacker portion of the tourist market there. Now we're heading back to Bangkok and another scam. Thai PBS World reporting hundreds of investors complain of being cheated by Dr. Boon Wanasin. And more than 240 investors have filed police complaints claiming they've been defrauded by the doctor, the founder of the Thonburi Healthcare Group, out of a combined 7.6 billion baht. And the man's former wife told police that her ex-husband is currently in China. A Thai Interpol has the issuance of a red notice for the arrest of the fugitive doctor. According to the police, Boon had posted announcements on social media claiming that THG was planning to invest in 5 medical service projects in Thailand, Laos and Vietnam, none of which have materialised. And just checking further, the wife and daughter of the wanted Thonburi Hospital founder in police custody, and they were both denied bail in a public fraud case. His former wife, 79, and daughter, who's 51, were taken into police custody after hours of interrogation on Saturday. And the remaining 6 suspects have already been arrested. And regarding concerns whether Thailand has an extradition treaty with China, officials confirmed that such a treaty exists but applies primarily to severe criminal offences. Fraud cases like this one may or may not meet the criteria. Well, here was I thinking that 7.6 billion baht was a lot of money. I mean, how much money do you have to steal to deserve being extradited back to Thailand? Okay, 2 little changes to the visa situation in Thailand, always trying to keep you up to date. I'll whip through these, but I'll put a link in the description of the video if you want to read further. And the first one's going to be affecting people who would go to Laos for a new visa. We're not talking about border runs here. If you just want to pop over the Lao border and back to get another 60-day visa exemption, that still applies. This is for people who want to go and get a long-term visa. This is published in laotiantimes.com. Non-Thai nationals in Laos to apply for e-visa only starting from January next year. And we start here, already a bit of confusion in this part that's been marked. According to the official announcement from the Royal Thai Embassy, it's noted that non-Thai nationals in Laos who intend to travel to Thailand for tourism purposes or work within 60 days, I'm pretty sure that also applies to any long-stay visas, but it hasn't mentioned that specifically. You have to apply for all types of visas only through the e-visa system and are confirmed to make payments in cash. Again, I'm not exactly sure how you make a payment in cash when it's an e-visa. And says it'll take approximately 10 to 15 working days starting from the date of visa fee payment, and the embassy will accept visa applications in the current system, that's the on-site document format, up until the 20th of November, where we've passed that already. And to prepare for the transition to the e-visa service, the embassy will not accept any visa applications from the 21st to the 31st of December. So a few takeaways from this. Obviously, we're going to be looking for a bit of clarification on some of these matters. But if you are thinking of popping over the border to Laos to get a long-term visa, it may be that you'll only be able to do that online in the future. Now, The other, I suppose, thing to take away from this is, are they looking at doing this with other countries like Cambodia and Malaysia, where you won't be able to just pop over the border, put your application in at the consulate, and then come in the next day and head back to Thailand? Perhaps Cambodia and Malaysia, maybe even Singapore, are going to be changing to e-visas only in the future. So in regards to long stay visas and going across the border to get those visas, I think we're going through a period of change, and of course we'll do our best to keep you up to date with all those changes. A bit of good news though for people wanting to stay in Thailand longer, albeit still expensive, and this from Siam Legal at their website siamlegal.com, and it's announcing the Thailand Privilege Visa Bronze membership. It's saying it's now the lowest cost option to those wanting the convenience and VIP privileges of the Thailand Elite Visa without all the extra rewards. Thailand Privilege is still the easiest and most rewarding way to stay in Thailand long term. Well, I'd have to argue that the retirement visa is probably still by far the cheapest, and in most cases the easiest visa to get. Even if you use an agent, it's still a lot cheaper than one of these Thailand Elite visas. But it says that application for the new bronze membership will only be available from December the 15th, 2024 till June the 30th next year. But it says in the next paragraph, depending on its reception, the bronze membership may be made a permanent feature of Thailand Privilege. Let's check out what you're going to get with the new bronze Thai Privilege card. Noting that the cheapest Thai Privilege card has recently been 900,000 baht. That went up in October last year from 600,000 baht. So let's check out what you now get with this Thai Privilege Bronze. The cost is 650,000 baht per year, approximately 19,000 USD, and it basically entails a 5-year multiple entry visa. And then if you go through the other matters there, you get a lot of privileges, especially at the airports. So I'm not going to read them all out here. As I said, there's a link in the description if you want to read the details. But it says bronze membership provides most of the same convenient travel privileges and VIP services that the higher tiers provide, but without the privilege points and extra benefits. So there you go, a few quick visa updates. Hopefully you're a bit more up to date with things happening around Thailand today. If you haven't subscribed already, I invite you to do so. Thanks for watching, and we will be back tomorrow.